Yo everyone, welcome back. So this is going to be an updated guide to the original Season 3 Resto Druid healing guide for Mythic Plus that I put out like a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months, whenever the Season 3 started. I just wanted to touch up on a few things, hopefully keep this pretty succinct and concentrated. So I'm just going to rip through some stuff here real quick, and any questions that you might have or things you think I might miss, you can go ahead and mention them to me in the comments or something at the end of the video, and I'd appreciate that. I'll answer whatever I can. So we're going to start with the gear here first. I'm running pretty much what I had said before. Your 4 set, of course, bunch of Haste Master gear. I got lucky out of the vault, got the best in slot off-piece pants there. A bunch of Haste Mastery there on the jewelry as well. For Rishi Wraps, I'm running the Haste Jewel. You can run the Mastery one if you want, or something else if you find it fitting, or you need some other stats if you'd like. Personally, I'm just going to stick with the Haste one for now, though. As far as trinkets, like I said, I don't have the staff, but I do have the 2 set. I've got the dagger and the trinket for that cantrip effect on the weapon, which is very powerful. Really been enjoying that. It's very good. And of course, you still have the Living Silk. That's mandatory. You have to run it for Mythic Plus. It's really strong. It's just a great trinket to have. You want to have it. Unfortunately, I only have a champion track one right now, but that'll get updated in the future. So I'm going to jump into the talents next. Going to try to run through these quick. Top half, General Druid Chi. All stays pretty similar. There might be a couple points you can move around if you want, but this is what I recommend sticking with by default for now. It's pretty good. Bottom half of the tree, maybe there's some points you can change up. One thing is Wild Charge. You can move to Tiger Dash. I just like using Wild Charge personally. There's nothing wrong with Tiger Dash. You can absolutely use it anytime, anywhere. I just stick with Wild Charge for now, though. Even though I do run Tiger Dash in raid, I like it more there. Down over here, the only things that I've really swapped up that I can recommend is I have gotten rid of Nature's Vigil. And I kept Heart of the Wild because I like using that a lot. You lose out on a lot of damage throughout keys if you get rid of that. Even though Nature's Vigil is easier to use, it's a lot less damage. The reason I got rid of that, though, is so that I can put a point into Ursine Vigor, because as the keys have been scaling higher, I need a bit more of free defensiveness just by shifting bear form. So I've been running that, and I felt that to be very powerful and very useful so far for me. So this whole General Druid tree is what I'm going to be sticking with for now, right now, as these points lie, as you can see them for probably the foreseeable future. As far as Wildstalker tree, this all stays the same. You don't ever change anything in here. These points are exactly as you want them. As far as the Resto tree, specifically, there's a few things that can be moved around that I'll talk about here. So at the start here at the top, we've got Cenarian Word and Abundance. I've been playing Abundance with Wildwood Roots. I really like it. It's the type of gameplay that I prefer. I don't really like using Cenarian Ward, although I know most people, I believe, are probably right now, and there's nothing wrong with Cenarian Ward. You can absolutely use it. It's a fine option to use, and you can feel free to do that. I just like the way that it feels to have these talents, so I'll be sticking with that. Going down a little bit more, I have opted to stick with the Nourish that I had mentioned in the previous guide with the Wild Synthesis. I know that most people are playing Grove Guardians, and again, there is nothing wrong with that. It's a very good talent, and most people are playing it. It's good for a reason. It's just a lot of free passive healing, so you can absolutely opt to keep using Grove Guardians and not Nourish. Nourish is a bit of a learning curve. Feels a bit strange to use at first, but I've really enjoyed using it so far for Season 3. I'm going down on the left side of the bottom part of the tree here, all very standard stuff. Nothing changes over here. What might potentially change a point or two is on this side of the tree. I've been running Germination. You could opt to get rid of Germination and potentially run Thrive in Vegetation, maybe 1 point in there. I'd recommend keeping Call of the Elder Druid if you're comfortable with Catweaving. It's pretty powerful, that nice little proc. You could also, if you're running Cenarian Ward, actually, you could get rid of Wildwood Roots, and you could maybe go into Regenerative Heartwood. That's a very good passive to have, an extra 4 seconds on Ironbark for whoever's got it. You could also potentially, I did it for a few keys at one point. I took a point out of Germination and had it in Dream State. I felt that to be very useful. We're using Trank a lot now anyways, as it's a very powerful cooldown finally in Mythic Plus for us. I've been enjoying the fact that, you know, we actually just have one of those group-wide buttons to just do healing to everyone all at once for a couple seconds and not really have to worry about it too much. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to be sticking with for now for myself. Again, I've noted some of the points you could maybe change around if you needed to, but as far as talents, this is what I recommend sticking with. But maybe swap Grove Guardians. Nourish is a little harder to use. That's a personal thing that I'm doing. Now, as far as that, I'm going to be going into the gameplay loop for everyone again really quick so that I can explain how this works, and I'll show you in a combat scenario how it works with this Forge Master mini-boss here. And these guys might kill it pretty quick in this follower dungeon, but so basically the way it works is, I'm going to explain it to you because this set bonus is incredibly powerful for Resto Druid, and it's what causes us to do most of our healing this season. It works in combination with our Wildstalker tree, and so how it works is symbiotic blooms. This is the most important part. They can spawn from us using wild growth, regrowth, or efflorescence. So, most important thing, always have your efflorescence down when you're in combat pools. The next most important thing is make sure we have life bloom out. We can have 2 of them out at a time because of our talent called undergrowth. What life bloom does is it causes us to have a chance to get clear casting, which is what makes our regrowth free. And if you play with the default UI, you'll get these little spell notifier cues here. But so what happens is with our set bonus for the 2 set, casting regrowth with clear casting, meaning that proc, which is this spell icon, will cause symbiotic blooms to grow on nearby targets, which is our Wildstalker talent here, which is regrowth causing blooms to grow. So mine personally on my voodoo is indicated by these little squares in the center of the screen here, as you can see right in the center of each of my voodoo frames with the 4 stacks, 2 stacks, and the timer counting down. So that is incredibly powerful because of the 4 set, where every bloom on a person has a chance to trigger bursting growth at 100% effectiveness. And each stack of those blooms increases the healing taken by bursting growth on that target by 30%. And what bursting growth is just when those blooms expire, it will heal people and nearby allies, or if you rejuve them. But that typically doesn't matter. You don't need to really proc it by rejuve. You can just let it naturally fall off itself. The blooms don't actually last more than a couple seconds, so it will rapidly do that for you. So, again, efflorescence down, make sure we have double life bloom. That's causing us to get these clear casting procs. When we do that, we hit it as soon as we can. It is very important that you spend your clear casting procs as soon as you get them, especially in whether it's a mini boss pull like this, it's going to do a bunch of damage, or in the middle of a boss fight. Anytime you know that damage is going to be coming and you need to ramp up, just make sure the first thing you do is have your life blooms out on your 2 targets, lay down your efflorescence, and then we'll go into this pool here and I'll show you. So I'll pull this guy, I'm just going to tag him, I'm going to lay down this efflorescence on them, and well, they're probably going to kill him, but see, for example, that heat wave. So I want to make sure I have these out, and you would want to swift mend, wild growth, and make sure you have all these, and you can see that no one's taking any damage there. Now again, it's follower dungeon, they're not really going to. It's kind of hard to see there, but that is the idea. You know that heat wave is coming. I had my life blooms out, made sure I was getting a bunch of stacks of my symbiotic blooms out on people, had my efflorescence down on them, and made sure I did a swift mend wild growth for a big juiced up AoE healing on the group. Now, with that being said, that is pretty much how all our healing will be done this season, as I've mentioned before. With that being the case, let me explain to you really quickly how some damage is done for us. So, we have a thing called Bloodseeker vines. And how that works is very simple. When you are in cat form, this right here, Bloodseeker vines, it's a dot that's applied to things. We can use Rip or Rake. It's our 2 dots that we have in cat form. What we want to do is run into every pack, unless there's healing needed, of course, run into every pack, and all we're going to be doing is tab targeting between targets. Just tab target, rake, break, rip, you know, just send out those dots on as many things as you can. And what will happen is you'll end up with, you know, a handful of targets that will end up getting this Bloodseeker vine on them, like this right here. You can see it. So how that works then to do a lot of damage in pools is when you ferocious bite a target with Bloodseeker vines like that, it will do a burst of AoE to everything around it. So if you have 3, 4, 5 of those out and you bite once on something, it will explode for a bunch of AoE damage. And now also that's further amplified by, let's say right here, I have a notification that I have a Heart of Wild proc actively going. And I can use my bites during that for increased physical damage. Or I can use my normal Heart of the Wild that I was talking about earlier. Also, kind of the way you want to think about doing damage is when you're going into packs, still use these rakes, get these rips out, and then after you've spent a couple globals getting those out, if you can wait just a second, you want to see if you get any of your Bloodseeker vine procs. And then as soon as you see that you have one like there, you would hit Convoke on it. The reason being that you want to wait is because you can get ferocious bites during your Convoke. You could even get a couple of them back to back at full value and get a bunch of burst damage through hitting a target with that vines on it through the bursting growth explosion. So it's incredibly powerful. We can actually do quite a bit of damage. It's a little bit of an annoying setup. It's not necessarily the most fun for everyone to do that gameplay. You see, I instantly got 2 there when I put those dots on people, and then I can just bite and do an explosion. You see that bursting growth damage. Look how high that is for just that small amount that I've had in these past 2 pulls. So that shows you how important this is. And that's our damage gameplay loop, mostly. When you're comfortable with Catweaving, it's a little strange because it is melee and you have to, you know, press some extra globals and things. But that's going to be how that works. So that is how that's going to work for damage. I showed you the healing. Again, if you guys have any questions, anything that you think I missed or you wanted me to mention, feel free to please comment. And I'll be putting out some more videos in the future, just of some like tech and tips for different dungeons and things we can do as Resto Druid specifically, or just in general for the dungeon. And I've got other videos out of just gameplay and some of the higher Mythic Plus keys of 17s, 18s, and I'm going to continue working to hopefully time some more of those that you can see me actively doing some of this stuff in. So thanks for hanging out with this one, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.